Okay, let's read the room now. We have just been through and we've just got through the other end of the biggest crypto liquidation event that's happened in history. So, people that are watching this, you've obviously come through the other side, but you're asking lots of questions now. Are we entering a new bear market? Is the crypto cycle over? Are we not going to get a non-risk rally? Are we not going to get an alt season? All of these questions are going to be answered in this video because we need the macro conditions to still be met. They're still aligned up. It's still not over yet, but it's understanding and preparing going into next week whether we're likely to get any kind of an on-risk rally. And that's what we're going to talk about. So what do I mean by the macro? I mean Bitcoin. I mean the Bitcoin dominance. I mean the DXY. I mean the USDT dominance. I mean Ethereum. I mean the Russell 2000. I mean the S&P 500. Was that confusing to you? Because all of these charts collectively, they paint a bigger picture together of when we can actually go on risk. And guess what? These conditions are still met. These conditions still need to happen. We still need to have an on-risk rally. It's looking bad there now, but the market's just reset. There was a capitulation event for a reason, and it happened in fear. We don't get a euphoric stage in fear. We get a euphoric stage in extreme greed. That hasn't happened yet. We haven't had a proper breakout of the Russell 2000. We haven't had a proper breakout of the total free. Collectively, these things are still hovering towards the highs. So that's what we're going to talk about in this video. What is crypto likely to do going into next week? And we're going to start with Bitcoin. As far as the macro overview is concerned, when we talk about crypto, we look at the leader, we look at the biggest market cap, we look at Bitcoin. And you can see that Bitcoin is bearish. Why is it bearish? Because we dropped this key level we were talking about. We were speaking about this actively in the Discord group, 107,223. Once we dropped that level, if we rejected that level, we were expecting to go back down to 100,000. So is it still possible that we go to 100,000? We could pull back here, we could put in a lower high, we could reject at this level, and then we could come back down and test the 100,000. What would that look like as far as fib's concerned? If we'd done something like this, and this is all hypothetical because we don't know where the lower high is yet. We come all the way down, and then we come back up here and put in a lower high at, say, 110,000. This is where it takes you around about the 100,000 level. So if we do something like this in ABC, all the way up here, all the way down there, that will take you to 100,000. That is the bear case, 100,000. So as far as the bull case is concerned, this is what we're looking for, and this is what we need to happen. And we need this to happen for us to get an on-risk rally going into next week, not just for Bitcoin, but for altcoins. In the last video, I covered Jasmy, Polkadot, ICP, and Casper. Go back and watch that video because it is all dependent on what happens here. Are we going to get a break, a rejection, or are we going to start taking back these levels, holding support, and pushing back through the top of this channel? So it is a waiting game. It's going to take a couple of days for us to understand exactly some kind of directional bias. But one thing, if we just zoom in and zoom in and zoom in, you can see what's happening here. This is a 3-bar reversal. You've got a red candle, you've got an indecision candle, and then if this candle finishes above the extreme high of yesterday's candle, that will be a 3-bar reversal, and that's going to indicate one thing. We're likely to get a green candle going forward to test the 110 the following day. So it's all about, are we going to get rejected at this point, 110,000 to 111,000? If we do get rejected at this point, like I say, we could come back down and either test this low, or if we've got an extension, an ABC equal measure move all the way down to 100,000. Right, so that's why we look at Bitcoin for directional bias. This is going to give us the biggest indication in the short term. Is Bitcoin going to recover over the next couple of days? The next thing that we are going to look at is the Bitcoin dominance. So this is the dominance on the daily. We're going to zoom out and look at the weekly very shortly. But basically, this wick is the wick that told a story. Now, remember, in the previous video, we looked at Jasmy, ICP, Casper, and Polkadot. What happened on all of them? They had big pushes to the downside, which was met by buy, and then they cooled off and cooled off and cooled off. This is the opposite. This is the Bitcoin dominance. So that showed that Bitcoin showed strength all the way up to 63.48%. Then what happened? Rejection, rejection, rejection. Where did it push back? Into this trend here. So it's pushed back into a trend. That's good. What we're waiting for is a break of this trend to the downside, and then a push in dominance, a rejection, and then at least testing this previous low, but ideally we want further than that. So if we zoom out on dominance, what we're waiting for as far as alt season is concerned, and why do I think that we do need an alt season? We do need euphoria. We do need that stage in the market where everything goes parabolic because of this. If we zoom out and we zoom out, this is the weekly. You got this, your big 2017 alt season, your big 2017 alt season. Don't last very long. You can see how long they last. This is the weekly. Each one of these candles represents 1 week. This is the 2021 alt season. And then what happened? We formed this wedge pattern. When we got to the top of here, I'd said one thing. We'd got a weekly bearish divergence. We'd also got a daily bearish divergence. We'd also got the top of this trend that we got rejected from before we got a big push to the downside. Now, look at this. Big push to the downside. We've wicked down. And then what we're looking for is another extension down, extension down. Where am I expecting support? It's going to be around about the 49, 50% level. Why is that? Because of this structure here. Clues left, that structure there. That structure formed for a long period of time. And once you've broken out of that structure, you expect that to come back and act as support. So that's where we're looking for between 49 and 50%. When that happens, this is alt season. Might go all the way down here, test the bottom of here, might come back down, and it might reject at this level. However, that would be the biggest on-risk rally that we've seen in altcoins 4 years. And that's what we're waiting for, 2025 alt season. Hasn't happened yet, hasn't happened yet. So that's dominance on the daily. That wick told a story. We've been pushed back into resistance. We want a rejection from here, and we want a continuation of dominance to the downside. Next thing that we want is the S&P. We're painting a picture now. We know what Bitcoin needs to do. We know what dominance needs to do. Dominance is playing ball. We need a rejection. And the S&P tells a story. We've got a big push to the downside, and now we're starting to recover. We need to push back into this trend here. Rejection, 6,716. Once we get back in here, that's going to give confidence for the S&P and another push up. Will we go parabolic on the S&P within the next few months? Who knows, but we could just monitor this. It is a key thing because when you get a push in the S&P, that's the least risk asset within the whole of the stock market within the US. So people go into S&P when they want to be in risk, but when they want to be in low risk. People go in Bitcoin when they want to be in crypto, but they want to be in low risk. If they want to be in high risk as far as stocks are concerned, what do? They go to the Russell 2000. And I've been saying that this, for me, is the biggest indicator for alt season. It's not altcoins. This is the biggest indicator for me for alt season. So when we get a big breakout and when we hold this level, that will coincide with one thing. The same thing within crypto, a breakout of total 3. Start climbing up, breaking out, holding. And when we get a big break, when we hold that, we get alt season. So we're waiting for a breakout of total 3. We're waiting for a breakout and a confirmation of the Russell 2000. So we've looked at 2 stock indices. We've looked at the total 3. We've looked at the big daddy Bitcoin, and we know exactly what needs to happen. The things that are at resistance need to be at resistance. The things that are at support need to be at support. But we just need one thing. We need a catalyst and some kind of directional bias. So you can see how the charts collectively, they paint a picture. One's at resistance, one's at support. Let me show you the dollar. This is another one we want at resistance. And you can see what I said in my previous videos. We want this. We want a 3-bar reversal. So we want today's candle. To close below the extreme of the previous candle, below the low of the extreme of the previous candle. If that happens, that's a 3-bar reversal. What that means that you're expecting a continuation to the downside, which is a good thing for USDT dominance. We want a push to the downside because that means that people are selling their USDT and what they're buying. Altcoins. When USDT dominance goes down, total 3, everything outside of Bitcoin, everything outside of Ethereum starts making gains. People are spending their altcoins and increasing the market cap. People are spending their stable coins, increasing the market cap of altcoins. Get my words out. So that's what we want. We want USDT dominance. We want a rejection. We want another rejection on another dollar-based asset, which is the Dixie. So that's the dollar. It's not a dollar-based asset, but it's the dollar trading against a bag of currencies around the world, such as the euro, the Great British pound, the Japanese yen, the Canadian dollar, and then another mixture as well. But the big one is the euro. So when this is strong, when the dollar's putting in higher lows, when it's higher lows, that's showing weakness in the market. When we've got a weak dollar, that's showing strength in the market. So we want to drop in this. We want this to lose trend. We want this to reject. We want that to push to the downside on the DXY. So the next thing is going to be Ethereum. What's Ethereum doing? Ethereum's still in this bull flag. So we had a capitulation event We lost this. Ethereum pushed back up, and Ethereum's doing all right. Ethereum's doing just fine in comparison to, let's for example, Bitcoin. So that means one thing: Ethereum must be outperforming Bitcoin. Let's check ETH BTC. We can see Ethereum is still outperforming Bitcoin. This was the capitulation event. That was the capitulation event. Ethereum lost against Bitcoin during this period, but then the bulls managed to push price up here. And now we're hovering at the top of this channel, waiting to break out. Remember what I said, guys? I've done a video on it. Ethereum down here, buying Ethereum down here, and then selling Ethereum at 0.04604 and buying Bitcoin with it is the equivalent of a half price Bitcoin. When you've got ETH season, you can take advantage of these kind of swings. So that's nearly there now. So Ethereum's outperforming Bitcoin. That is good because Bitcoin is the big daddy. We need Bitcoin to lead the way. And we know that Ethereum is the second biggest market cap leader. So if the second biggest market cap leader is beating the biggest market cap leader, that's showing people have got sentiment further down the risk curve. And that's exactly what we're looking for. So the next thing that we look at is the others chart. Now, this is really, really, really high risk. This is everything outside of the top 10. So this is the high risk crypto caps. And you can use this as the equivalent of the Russell 2000. You can see we haven't broken out, we haven't broken out, we haven't broken out. Once we do get a breakout of this on the others, that's signaling breakout, that's signaling a big shift. Then you'll see an acceleration. And when you see an acceleration, that will coincide with one thing: a big drop in Bitcoin dominance, which is what we've been waiting for. So the next thing and the last thing that we're going to look at is confidence, the VIX. This is the volatility index of the S&P. One thing that you'll see when you get a big spike like this, that is created by a crash within the market. So people are scared, the volatility is high, And you can see we started pushing up, then we've got this big bearish candle. So we're expecting this to come back down, this to cool off, and that's going to be a good thing. So can you see why we look at these charts collectively from a macro perspective to paint a picture? It's obviously going to be driven by news, but these charts collectively do paint that picture. We know one thing that needs to happen, one thing that needs to make a move. You can look at that thing that needs to make a move. That's going to be your leading indicator, and then watch the rest of the charts follow suit. So if you do enjoy this analysis and you want more of this, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you want altcoins, go back and watch my last video. Leave that at the end. And guys, goodbye from me.